a background as to why everyone's here and why it's important.
Well, my name's Tom Goldtooth. I'm the Executive Director of the Indigenous Environmental Network. Our network is, we've been around since 1990. We came together under the mandates of Indigenous youth and elders during the time in 1990 when a lot of the private waste companies were coming to Indian country, as well as nuclear waste, like in Yucca Mountain. And so during that time, there's so many mineral extractive industries as well. And many of our tribal members as grassroots said we need to come together. We need to put a stop to this. We need to organize ourselves as tribal members, as grassroots. And also we were concerned about the way that companies come in and throw down big money and enticing our tribal leadership to take the golden carrot, you could say, and sell out. So those have been always concerned that we've had as tribal grassroots people throughout Turtle Island, North America, Canada, and U.S. And one of the tools of colonization has always been to divide our people, and give benefit sharing to tribal leadership who are elected. That's a very big issue in Canada, for an example. So, but also, we are really protective of our sovereignty, and so we've been as a network working with tribal governments as well, giving them information, because we found in the early 90s that majority of our tribal nations, our governments, did not have any environmental protection infrastructure like state governments have. Usually there's an office in most states that their mandates is to advise the governor and the state senate on these corporations that come in. But most tribes did not have any kind of infrastructure like that. In fact, companies come in and say, work with us. We have those experts. We have the ecologists, we have biologists, we have engineers. Trust us, we'll work with you, we'll protect the land, and we'll even give you some benefits of the proceeds. So that was like the situation over 30 years ago. So with the direction of our grassroots and our elders, we said we need to have a voice, a tribal voice, a watchdog that is organized and strategic to intervene and work with tribal leadership, work with tribal governments, work with our families and elders that are feeling the negative effects and suffering from the continued encroachment of mineral extractive, that whole mindset of extractive industries coming into our territories. So with that said, we were asked to help out here, and we've been involved. In fact, our organization shifted from our participation on building solidarity and developing strategy and tactics on stopping the Trans-Canada Keystone XL pipeline here in the Prairie Lands. So we've been part of the tar sands alliance, also having a financial corporate campaign as part of that, sending Indigenous people to England, to London, to Europe, where some of that investment was coming on the tar sands. So shifting from that wind, shifting to the Dakota Access was part of our process too, supporting the encampment that is the birthplace of this sacred stone overflow camp that a lot of people see here. The birthplace being right across the Cannonball River, up the hill right in the Cannonball District, by one of the tribal members, LaDonna Allard, that provided one of her land assignments over there as a place to build this this movement here. So working with Joy Braun as well, who's been over there, and so what we see now is this mobilization of all the flags. The tribal nation flags are over there, and that what we call the Boulevard of Flags. I understand there's probably close to 100 tribal nations as sovereigns who have come here, send their tribal nation flags in full support of the Standing Rock Sioux Tribe, and as well as all the other tribal grassroots people. Maybe they're not here officially representing their tribal nation, but they're here in heart and spirit, and they all are willing to defend the rights of the Standing Rock Sioux Tribe here, to defend the Mother Earth, to defend the sacredness of the water, and most important too, we must not forget that, to defend those burial sites, those ancient holy sites, ceremonial sites. So that flags represents that. And I feel that the government is really threatened by this. In our 30 years of existence, close to 30 years of existence in our network, they're really afraid when the indigenous voice and indigenous people come together. Not in the coming together in the beltway of the colonial government. I call it Washington deceit, and there's a lot of corruption in that circle of the beltway of the United States. Same way in Canada, Parliament in Ottawa. They drop down money, people get bought off, even politicians, everyone knows politicians, so it for indigenous thinking, where we have people that still live with the land and off the land, still have our sacred fires going, our ceremonies. And my family is part of that. We see what's going on in the world. And, we have a world that's out of balance. And one of the things that we said coming out of a world gathering in 2010, April, in Cochabamba, Bolivia, when our indigenous friend Evo Morales, Presidente of Bolivia, he called for an international gathering to talk about climate, but also to talk about the rights of Mother Earth, a whole different framework. That from his perspective as an indigenous man from Bolivia, is that the world doesn't understand what the relationship is to the sacredness of Mother Earth, and that's something I personally have been talking about for 2 decades as in this work that I do, because we're dealing with a colonial legal system that has implemented property rights, the regime of property rights all over, not only just the United States and here in North Dakota especially, but throughout the world. A colonial system of law on the privatization of nature. Looks at the Mother Earth as an object, objectification, the same way that we have a world of objectification of women. So there's also that link on the way that we treat our women in the world, the way that humanity treats women. There's a lot of violence there. The same way we're seeing here, we have a governmental of North Dakota and the corporations that it recognizes that are treating Mother Earth very violent. They are the perpetrators. They are the violent ones. Look what they did when they bulldozed that sacred site a couple of days ago. And they knew. No one's going to convince me they did not know. But they knew that the Standing Rock Sioux Tribe had inventoried that area, and the experts here with the tribe said that's a sacred site. It's very significant in this region, that specific site. Grave burial areas and ceremonial symbols in the rock. And as soon as that hit the media, the company went there and bulldozed it. And they brought in a private security firm. And I don't know where this firm came from.
I believe they're out of Britain.
Yeah. And but they were there and with attack dogs and mace, and probably had weapons as well, and probably ready to use those. And it was very organic from the camp. It was very organic. It was not planned. Someone had spotted what was going on, and before you know it, families and children and women, men, elders were all walking up to that area. And the way that the security firm representing an arm of that company, that further confirms in my mind that we're dealing with the predatory mindset, preying on the sacredness of Mother Earth, preying on our children. And our children here are saying, Mom, Dad, how come when we go to Bismarck, we're stopped, Why is it we can't come down the usual road?
Good luck with that.
So already in their mind, those young kids here, they're seeing what's going on here, and they're asking questions. And that's going to be an imprint in their mind. Why is it the police are doing what they're doing, the state patrol and the county sheriffs? And there's something about being native. I'm from Minnesota. My mom is Navajo from the Southwest. I grew up in both ends of Minnesota and in New Mexico, Arizona. We see racism. We may not be able to pinpoint it as far as a certain language, but we can feel it. We can go to the grocery store and it just feels like these people don't want me here, I can feel it here in North Dakota. It has its roots, its foundation. So the way that the governor reacted, and even the spin doctrine that the media was being utilized, portrayed already the camp, as being these violent folks, and even using pipe bombs. They said there's pipe bombs here, and that's funny because when I was talking to some of the people at the access road and that action over there to try to stop the building and construction of this little ramp so heavy equipment can go into the private land that this person had signed over to the tribe, signed over to the company to clear the way for the pipeline. There was a call for people because the people here are very spiritual people, and ask them to bring their pipe bundles, their sacred pipe bundles, the chinupa, the peace pipe, and that's something that people here, families use in prayer, in reverence, to the Creator, asking for help, asking for support. It lifts up who we are in our relationship to family, to community, to non-native people, to the world, to earth, to nature, out of love and compassion for life itself. So they brought their pipes. So someone told me that someone yelled out, "Fill your pipes. Fill your pipes." So some people were filling their pipes in the background. So what came out of that, I think was a serious misunderstanding, insensitivity. Someone said they had pipes. No, those are sacred instruments. So that's where part of the cultural insensitivity of who the Lakota people are. The public education system, I think, has really ripped off America. The public education system doesn't tell people who the first people of this land is. Years ago, we had maybe just a short mention in the education books. And then after a couple years, maybe we had a paragraph and then a page. And now, there's been progress. Some areas now, there's a chapter, When some conservative-minded racist states. It's not a chapter, it's maybe a paragraph or a page. So there's a misunderstanding about who the Lakota people are here. And I think it's very important to continue to have education, to have alternative media, to educate people what is really going on here. Because I commend the Standing Rock Sioux tribe, the elders, the women, the children, for what they're doing here. They put out a call for action to come and support them. Look at this, I think there's probably about 4,000 people out there in this camp right now. And that's strength, and people all over the world sending support. The social networking, even mainstream media who were constantly trying to educate the corporate media. I hear there's some good stuff coming out of it. But there's some stuff that we have concern with too in corporate media. And we have to, we need people out there to help do some research. Who are the funders behind Dakota Access and the energy partners? Who are those funders, the banks and investors? I heard that one of the aircrafts flying here, someone took the number, and it was actually an aircraft that Dakota Access was using, but it was linked to the Bank of Utah, the state of Utah, Bank of Utah. So what's that link then? We're asking investigative journalists to check that out. Who are the investors behind this? Who's the big money? Are there oligarchies here involved? And what's their agenda? Because there's always big money. There's a link to fossil fuel economy, energy, politics, where there's even nuke, where there's now mass incineration. Okay, there's money trails behind that, and back to Cochabamba in 2010. One of the analysis was that the root cause of climate change is capitalism. So now in some of the things we talk about as Indigenous Environmental Network with our tribes and tribal communities, frontline communities, is to be able to get education, popular education on the economic system that we have in America, and economics that has been applied to tribal economics is to really look at where we're going in 50 years. I think capitalism is barely hanging on by a string. So as tribal nation, we got to look in the future. What's going to be our role? What kind of economic system are we going to be living on?
Fractional reserve banking is not something that is sustainable.
So those are things we're looking at now on the side here, building the capacity to make a just transition as tribal nations, because the federal government has made us dependent on fossil fuel economy in some areas. Look at Fort Berthold, look at Navajo Nation and coal, look at the Blackfoots in Alberta on hydrofracking. So those are things we're looking at. And I'm going to have to take off here right now, and I appreciate the opportunity to talk about some of these things. And we need to support the political support of the non-native people out there. We don't have the political power, but we got the power of truth. We got our teachings of Mother Earth ethics, and Earth jurisprudence is what we've been pushing to. The rights of Mother Earth. And so, thank you.
Thank you.